Okay, so let's go ahead and move into our next segment.
All right, the great console debate.
Oh yeah, this is the great debate, and today's great debate is going to be. Is that our theme? Is
Yeah.
that going to be the theme for the great debate?
Okay.
Okay, I'm cutting that out. We'll keep it in. PC versus console. This is something that we wanted to talk about. I think it's a good one for starting out this segment because it's a big thing.
Yeah,
And there's been a lot of discussions on it, but figured we'd have an opportunity to throw our opinions out there, see what we think about this particular topic.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm taking the PC side of things.
Okay,
Uh,
okay,
I'm very open to console. As I
okay,
mentioned, I've played a very extensive, but as of right now, my heart lies with PC
all
very,
right,
very much so.
okay. So I guess I'll kind of lean on the console side of this debate. So okay, so why don't you get us started? What makes PC so great for you?
Well, my thing is, I like from the top, we'll start with the feet and work our way up. One
Okay,
of the things that I really enjoy about PC gaming is the modding community. Like, it doesn't
okay,
matter if it's in an indie title or in a AAA title and it shouldn't be done. Like, one of the things I really appreciate is the game becomes, mm, you can expand on it so much. And it's not considered wrong to do so. Like with Skyrim, when you add another like 200 hours into the game, everyone appreciates that. You're not going to have to jailbreak your console. You're not going to have to do much. You
yes.
literally go to a website, download a couple files,
Oh,
launch the game, it crashes,
but
you
when I get
start
a
it
when
up.
I get a hold of my Game Shark, you have no idea what
It's like when I get my Game Shark, man.
what is possible.
Oh,
I will
dude.
have I will have unlimited lives.
So
okay,
that's
modding. Yeah.
that's like my first and biggest reason. I think the online community, and that's one thing that's like really, 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 really important for me.
Hmm.
I've always enjoyed online gaming just solely because like as I got older, the accessibility for someone to play like right there with you kind of dwindled. So I've
Yeah.
always noticed that like the online community has not necessarily, I won't say has been more mature
Hmm.
than the console gaming, but they're older. So it's not like you get as many squeakers and young kids that don't know what they're talking about. When you get in an argument, there's more potential for you to get in an argument with someone that knows what they're talking about, and you walk away from like what would normally have been just a trolling session laughing because people are smarter and it's
Okay.
fun.
Okay.
And
Older community for PCs.
my other point, it's cheap games, dude. Cheap games is like the
Yeah.
biggest
Yeah.
reason. I mean, you could have Steam sales almost what 3 or 4 times a year that are insanely
Yeah.
big.
The huge Steam
Summer
sales.
sale, Christmas sale, and then there's usually like that one lull sale that just kind of pops up throughout the year. And then
Whenever they
you
feel like it.
have
Yeah.
like humble bundles that are
Oh
always,
yeah.
always going. You have websites that some may argue aren't necessarily the most reputable, but like G2A that
Hmm.
allow for you to get keys on games that just come out for PC at like $20 off. So you could get like one of the ones that comes to mind was when um, SimCity came out. No, Sims 4 came out. It was going for 23 bucks if you were going through their code. And that's just not something you see as easy. I won't say it's necessarily not there for console because if you go on Amazon and you go through different revenues, you can find games cheap
Yes.
and you can get them this like on release cheap. But
Hmm.
for PC, it's almost a part of the culture to do so. And so I'll say a mixture of cheap games because of that and cheap games because the indie scene
Oh yes.
is just massive on PC because it's the platform where games are made. But that
Hmm.
also has its cons as well. You get a ton of crappy games. So I guess I'd have to go with the number one reason why I love the PC community is regardless of that, I would be spending a ton of time on my PC.
Hmm.
So being able to play on it and have a PC that's applicable for being able to play on is amazing. So the convenience, the amazing community as far as like the enjoyment with the people you run into in games and the like lineage it holds, you'll run into people that are older and it's a fun opportunity and cheap games, man. It just doesn't get better than the cheap games.
Okay.
It doesn't get better than that, man.
It's hard to disagree, and I don't disagree. Um, though we kind of have our sides here. I will say that I am very much for a lot of the same aspects that you just noted there. I do very much enjoy PC gaming. And yeah, I agree. I mean, there's so much that you could do with PC titles, and there's so much variety, and it's cheap, like you said. I'm not as much into the community. However, I do recognize that there is sort of like an older community that is sort of mainstayed in the PC territory. So yeah, I agree. But yeah, so is that your argument?
Yeah,
Is that
I
what you
mean,
say?
like that's where I'm gonna put my things in for the debate. That's why
Okay.
PC is awesome.
Okay. All
That's why I
right.
think it's better than
Okay.
console right now.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about console. Now, I have pros and cons here, and I'll start saying with the console here as one of the biggest cons that people say is that every time a new console is released, people say, "Oh, there's nothing on it. It doesn't got any new titles. Where's the new titles?" And it's like you have to understand that with this type of format, the studios that develop almost exclusively for consoles, they need time to develop games because
Yeah,
they're not given the technology unless it's in-house from the company that produces it, unless it's in-house Sony, unless it's in-house Microsoft. They're not going to get the technology to make the games that they want, the third parties, because they don't have it yet. So
yeah,
it's always like the first year is always going to be the roughest for any kind of console. And people always say so and so console sucks because it doesn't have any games, and it's like, well, yeah, it's the first year. It's something that you kind of have to expect now. Whether people take that as a weak argument or not, it's something that I feel should be mentioned, because later on down a console's lifetime, it becomes something highly praised, the good ones anyway.
yeah,
I mean, let's think about the PS2. A lot of people consider that to be one of the greatest consoles of all time.
yeah. The catalog on the PS2 is unreal,
It was, yeah.
unreal.
And you could say that was a different time, and it's like, yeah, it kind of was. You didn't have as much variety as far as what was out there at the time. I mean, but there still was. You still had three big companies that were producing games. You had Microsoft, Nintendo, and though Microsoft, it was their initial step into the console world, but you had Nintendo, which is a big player, and Sony just had the previous console behind it, under its belt, which is just the PlayStation. So just in its second year, to be considered one of the greatest consoles of all time. Thinking about the library, though, and then comparing it to what initially was launched on the PS2. The initial launches on the PS2 were bad. I will go out and say that right away. It's like people forget, but it's like it's same as pretty much any other console. They didn't have too much to launch it with, aside from like Nintendo. But Wii U aside, Nintendo usually has some really big games during its launch,
Yeah,
just
and
because they've
it's
built up this repertoire and they've had their old IPs like we've talked about. But yeah, the PS2 didn't have anything during those first few months of its release, but halfway down its lifespan, the end of its lifespan, it had so much going for it. It was such a great console, and partially what that's lends its credit to is exclusive titles. I think that's one of the best things for consoles is you have games that are developed exclusively for a console. And when you look at PC games, most of it is going to be multi-platform.
yeah,
Like you can't name too many huge PC games that are exclusively for PC because they're usually on something else too. But as far as consoles go, you have a lot of games that are developed specifically for a console. They're exclusive titles, and they usually remain that way. That's not to say that I wasn't going to say that PC doesn't have any titles that are exclusive for it. For a long time, Minecraft, obviously, which you're familiar with, that wasn't on any other platform. And
yeah.
the best things about Minecraft can only be done on the PC. The mods, the community, it's all on the computer. You don't have that on PS3 version or the Xbox One version or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna find that there. Vanilla Minecraft is kind of that's not what makes Minecraft special now. That's not why people like it.
Yeah, there's so much more. to offer
Hmm.
in Minecraft's repertoire of things now.
Yeah, and so PC with that kind of standpoint, it's like yeah, it does have it can build that type of community. Unfortunately, consoles can't build that much of a community because you don't have games that are open source like that. However, you can still make really good games that are fairly linear because you're not always going to want to play something that it's I don't want to say you get bored with it, but without you want to experience kind of something new. And mods can do that, but I think a lot of resources are pooled into a lot of these titles that are released exclusively for consoles.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of creative energy that goes behind them that is another step further than a lot of the fan produced content for these games that makes a PC game special. So I think exclusive titles is a huge factor that weighs in on consoles and why they're still relevant. Because you still have these games that you're not going to be able to play anywhere else, and they are worth playing.
Yeah, most definitely. The catalog of games that console offers
Mm,
is what makes people like gaming.
yeah, yeah. And it's like now we're kind of in this area where there is a lot of independent games being made, and that is attracting a lot of attention. But there's still a lot of these titles that coming out for consoles from companies that would be independent. It's just that they have backers behind them because they were able to show off something good that X company liked. So it's like you do have similar kind of circumstances with it. It's just that one is going to be for an exclusive platform, and one is just for multiple platforms. So I'll cast my one of my lots in with that one. The other thing I was going to mention was that there's still a lot of developers, not every developer and not the majority, but there's still a lot of developers that make games with consoles in mind. We still see a lot of games that release before the PC version is released.
Yeah.
We could talk, we could mention Grand Theft Auto 5 for one.
Oh man.
I know
Hey.
that's something that you're looking forward to on PC, but think about the time span that has been gone on between when Grand Theft Auto 5 was originally released and when it's being released on PC.
All I'm gonna say is the one thing, ultimate settings. That's one ultra settings. That's why I'm willing to wait. Dude,
Okay.
the beauty of the game and like the textures are
Hmm.
I'm happy that they're taking this long.
Okay.
Because I mean, yeah, we'll talk about, but yeah, the yeah, definitely. I mean, I
Okay.
could see why people were like, you're not you if you had to wait, everything's already spoiled and like the majority of the hype is gone. But yeah,
I still think that
still
the
want to
main
wait.
base behind the gaming community, people that largely buy video games, they're not they want to play the game for the game, and it's like a lot of the little additions like improved graphics and stuff. That can be kind of secondary, or people are just ignorant of that. It's just oblivious. It's like if I want to play a game, I don't want to wait like a year after it's released just so I could play a little bit better version of the game. It's like you want to play the game because it's the game. You're not necessarily looking for a lot of the little minor attributes. I think is the case with most people. So it's like these games since they're developed with consoles in mind, they obviously get released first
Yeah.
on the console. So that's another thing. And in line with that too is you still get it's not quite as frequent as it was say 3, 4, 5 years ago, but you still have bad PC ports.
Oh yeah. That's something that always makes me sad.
I
It
was
just
just
makes me
yeah,
real sad.
I had just mentioned Dark Souls a while ago. Just bad key mapping and there's several other things, but it was a port and it just was translated. You still had the graphics from the Xbox. Like they didn't attribute anything for PC users. Like you didn't have press escape to open the menu. It was like press X or Y or something on the Xbox controller. And that's a case that's a really good bad example. I want to say, but there's still games that are ported to PC that they're not well optimized. Last year, what was it? Watch Dogs.
Oh man, that was
Now that I mean that game, there was a lot of reasons why for to dislike it.
they had to do a lot of work on like patches and stuff for that game.
Yeah,
That
but
was
the
messy
PC
out the
version in
gate.
particular, it's like you could pretty much play aside from the obvious flaws that were just latent in the game at its core.
Yeah.
The PC version was bad.
Yeah.
There was a lot of problems with it.
And they tried their best to patch it. They
Mm-hmm.
did. I'll give them that. They tried their best to do what they could,
Mm-hmm.
but that game had broken written all over it from top to
Yeah,
bottom.
yeah, and especially, but yeah, particularly with the PC version. Another case of
Yeah.
just having a bad port, and that's one of the things consoles generally don't get that. Now, I'm not saying that console games that are released on games that are released on consoles aren't going to be broken or have issues. Obviously, they are. Games are still getting patched, but I think since they developed the games, a lot of these games get developed with consoles in mind. You generally don't have a whole lot of problems with it,
Yeah,
and you still get PC ports.
I don't think a lot of the things that were seen
Hmm.
were console problems. Like some of the like when I see it, like the majority of the people that I'd seen play it and
Hmm.
in like from the PC aspect of things, I was like, if that ever happened on console, they wouldn't release it. Like
Yeah,
there's like things where it was just broken from
yeah.
top to
I
bottom
think there's still
for the
kind of
port.
this old standard where it's like if you release it on console, it's not something that's kind of ingrained necessarily, but I think there's still kind of this standard where if you release it on console, it has to be close to being finished. Whereas like a lot of these PC games, whether they're indie titles that are developed on the PC or whatever, it's like they'll release all these early access betas and stuff like that. And some of these people don't even make that many updates. It's like they'll release their early access games, or if they're developing it, if they have a port, they'll just kind of take this game that they had on the console and they'll just kind of chuck it into a PC format and say, well, good enough. Just poorly optimized or unfinished games. And like I said, it's not for every game, obviously, but I do think it is an issue with a lot of PC games, and it's less of an issue with consoles. And then the other point is that physical media is still a big thing with console games, and I know it's kind of phasing out a little bit, not too much, but I'm still a big supporter of physical media. Now you have a lot of games like on Steam that they could sell cheap digitally, but you don't have a physical copy. Um, I mean, not to say that it would ever happen, but if Steam went under or something like that, and it's like you didn't put these games on your PC, it's like where are you going to get them from? It's like you spent all this money, hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and if you're sourcing it from a certain site or service or something like that, if that service goes out, you're out of luck
Yeah.
unless you have it put it on your computer. And the amount of games that you could buy on the PC and just kind of store because you're registered with that game under that service, you're not going to put it all on your computer. That would eat up so much space. Whereas
It would
physical,
be messy.
yeah, it would be insane. Whereas physical media, though, you always have that on hand. You're never going to lose it unless you actually lose it physically. So it's like you're always going to have physical media on hand. It's completely dependent on you. You buy that, you own it, you keep it, and whenever you want to use it, you just take it out and you plug it into your console, and you're good to go. Um, and I think that's still another thing because it's like you don't see physical discs for PC games a lot, and if you do, there's DRM for the majority of them. There's no DRM for console games that I'm aware of, except for like some online things like EA
I got
or
you.
Ubisoft or something like that. You don't have a whole lot of that going on, aside from like the online functions. But for the main core of the game, you don't have you have the physical game. You don't need the DRM. And another thing that goes along in line with that is that you can take games with you. You can share them with your friends, which I'm still a supporter of.
Playing with buds.
Yeah,
Without
yeah,
that,
playing
Corey,
playing
you
with
wouldn't have
people.
played anything.
Yeah, if I didn't lend you games, you wouldn't have experienced who knows what. But yeah, so I think physical media is still a big reason, and it's still produced for consoles, and I think it's a big reason, why consoles are still around and why they should be around, and it's probably going to be that way for a while. But yeah, those are kind of my points. Exclusivity of titles, developers making games with consoles in mind, and physical media. I was going to mention, you would mention you can get games cheap. And I think and this is kind of thinking about the PlayStation Network here. I'm not too sure about other services, but they still have pretty decent sales. It's better if you're a PlayStation Plus member, which is subscription based. However, you can still get games really, really cheap without even being a member, which I'm sure you can attest to because you had a PlayStation for a while.
Yeah.
They release free games for Plus members sometimes, but they have lots of discounts. With their service, I think consoles can still kind of knock out these good sales that are comparable to like Steam. Maybe not as much or as big on a scale, but I still think those are kind of around.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, Sony's always done well with that, and Xbox has kind of tried to replicate, or Microsoft, I should say, has tried to
Mm,
replicate what they've done. And I mean, in that department with consoles, I can't disagree with you at all.
okay. So, but yeah, that's kind of my closing argument. Um, I don't know that we have a definite winner here. I don't think we
Yeah, I
do.
mean, that's the beauty of a debate. It's more
Hmm.
like more or less just bringing your opinions to the table and
Exactly.
enjoying. Because I feel like, as opposed to with politics or something, like this is something that we both agree, both have their benefits and both have their negatives.
Yes.
Their pros and cons. Like with the PC situation, a lot of digital content, as you had mentioned, is kind of it's not a it's a downside for people who like to see something on their shelf. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm one of those people that likes to look at all the media and cool things and from TV shows to movies to games and stuff. I'd rather see it on a shelf than in a library organized on a list on my computer.
You'd rather see it physically in your own
Yeah.
room than a digital shelf
Yeah,
on an online
most
service
definitely. I mean,
where you have pictures of your
I
titles.
have several like movies and things, and
Hmm.
it's easier. I mean, but I'd rather have like the hard copy because I
From
mean,
a collector's
yeah.
standpoint too, yeah, it's definitely a thing. I take pride in my collection. I have, speaking about games, I have rare games. I mean, it's like they're available for digital download. I think every single one of them. But there's something about having it just as part of a collection that just makes it that much more special.
One thing that comes to mind too is that a lot of people come to the table with this argument of PC gaming is good because of the graphics and the potential. That potential is extremely expensive. And
Yeah, that is a thing
uh
too.
like for the average consumer, you're gonna get a console experience.
Hmm.
Um like the majority of people that have a computer that play these games at ultra settings, like some of us, I mean, they're
Hmm.
putting thousands of dollars into their PCs, whereas opposed to a console, you pay a couple $100.
Yep.
You play it on your
Yep.
TV and you have a more casual experience. As with a PC, I mean, it's a lot of luggage.
Yeah.
You have more to do as
Very good
opposed
point.
to
Very good point.
and
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that is very true. I mean, a lot of people do make that argument that okay, you can have these massive settings that make the game that much more better, I guess, from a visual standpoint. However, in order to get that to run, you need to put a decent amount of money. I would say, in most cases, to run most games on ultra settings or just monim or whatever, uh, you would need to put in twice the amount that you would just to pick up a console.
yeah, most definitely.
I mean,
Eh,
I don't know about you, but I could run most games on ultra. I put roughly $1,000 into mine,
yeah,
into my rig, and granted, it's a multimedia. I kind of feel sorry for the people that built a computer exclusively for gaming,
yeah.
because I mean, it's like, yeah, it's like okay, you can run it for how long before your hardware gets outdated and you need to upgrade or
That's another
it
thing
runs
people
out.
say that like, oh, well, with upgrades, but that's more money again,
It's
you
yeah,
know?
it's more money.
And you're gonna either, I think at the end of the day, it's preference. And that's
Yeah.
the beauty of the 21st century we live in.
Uh-huh.
We have opportunities to, if you're in a position, run a game on a $3,000 setup that looks insane. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
let's be realistic. You're never going to get that on a console.
Yes.
Maybe 15 years down the line you'll get that, but um but you have that experience. You have that opportunity, but if you just want to have a nice deep immersive story, good gameplay, you have great graphics that are compatible with all the media you already have in your house, like your TV and everything, and your
Mm-hmm.
sound systems and everything. You can still get what you want. Like at every level, that's one thing that I think can be taken away from this. It doesn't matter if there are the pros and cons. There's
Mm-hmm.
something out there for everyone. If you don't have time, we were talking about the 3DS. Like they
Yes.
even have something as simple as that. So and that's considered, I would say, like a handheld console. So that could
Yeah.
kind of fall into that category.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, at any place in your life, there is a console for you that will have its pros and cons, and you should go into it educated, because then you'll make the best
Yeah.
decision possible,
There's a
as opposed
platform
to
for everyone, and
as opposed to
it's
just
yeah.
listening to what your friends say, because that's really easy. Like I
Yeah.
consider us really good friends, but there's times where we won't play the same things. There's times we will, and it's because we're educated on the things we want,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to just listening to one another and blindly spending. And I think that kind of happens sometimes.
Yes.
People get caught up in the mentality of, oh, well, the PC master race, or they'll like console peasants, and then they'll like
Oh
say
yes.
that. But then it's like, can we really say that when you have amazing stories that we haven't seen on PC? Like, we've seen good stories, but we haven't seen Nathan Drake. We haven't seen we haven't seen a Halo. Well, yeah, we have. But like you
There,
get the
yeah,
idea.
there's still a
There's
lot of good ideas.
that
We were
haven't.
talking about previously, but that still happen. I mean, you can look at Sony stuff. You could look at Uncharted. You could look at God of War. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of the new IPs that are coming out for them. You could look at a lot of these things. You could look at Nintendo. You're not going to see a Nintendo game on a PC unless it's Mario teaches typing. So it's like you're not going to get this kind of stuff on PC.
Legally
Well,
emulation.
yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, yeah, there is that.
America.
Yeah. Well, not that I support that or anything. But yeah, I think it is a good point that there's still aspects to consoles that make them worth getting. Um, but ultimately, like you said, it's down to preference. There is a platform for everyone. There is a venue for everyone. And me personally, I say why not both?
Right? Why not? If you're in a position, why not both?
Yeah,
Why
that's
not
what I
both?
do. I mean,
That's what I
I
was
have.
thinking. Like, my thing is, I have to have things to get addicted to, and I feel like the Wii at this point, and which is funny because I would like a year ago, or maybe like 2 years ago, I'd laugh at myself for
Mm,
saying this. But I feel like Wii would give me the most bang for my buck after really thinking about it
yeah,
and such. And why not both? Why not get the best of both worlds
yeah.
that
That's how I
fits
feel.
you?
And I think that's a good way to close it. There is an opportunity for everyone, but I do think my personal opinion is get both. If you're in a position to do so, why don't you treat yourself to having to having the best of both worlds.
I could not agree more.
All right. Well, we're just about to wind down here. But before we close it out, let's talk about what we're looking forward to in the future of our gaming endeavors.
I won't, because we've pretty much talked about, I think, like, as we've wrapped up to this point,
Mm-hmm.
with myself at least, we've talked about, like, GTA 5. I'm super excited. I
Yes.
think, like, it's gonna be, like, the first, like, IRL sim for me, like, to, like, really play a lot and have fun with. I mean, I'm gonna play the story right
Yeah.
away, get that out of the way, try to get as many achievements as I can, and, once I get through that, I'm probably going to just enjoy killing people, robbing banks with my buddies,
Yep.
golfing, doing
Yep.
all the random tomfoolery that GTA has to offer. Um,
Okay. Can't blame
the
you there.
new Zelda, interestingly enough, I mean, it may not be anything new,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I've sat away
But
from the
we
series.
don't we don't know, and
Yeah,
it does. I mean, to me, from what we've seen of it, I mean, though granted it's not been that much, but it does look like
like
there's
it has
potential to be
potential.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah, potential to be something new, and also the statements that they've attached to it too. They said it would be very open world, Similar, they notioned it back to the original Legend of Zelda for the NES.
Ah,
The other thing they said that in line with the original NES version, that there was no particular way for you to go about completing the game. Let's say that you have, 4 dungeons in the game. Previous games, you would have to go to dungeon 1, dungeon 2, dungeon
that's
3,
what I
dungeon 4, in
miss.
that order.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
they said in this game that you would have the choice to do whatever you want. It would be very open world. And what that reminds me of, for today's standards, is it, going back again to one of my favorite games, like I said, Dark Souls.
Yeah.
It feels sort of like a Zelda game to me.
Yeah.
But I think I agree with you. I think a Zelda Wii U is something to look forward to, and I'll definitely be picking it up. But yeah, I'm excited for that one as well.
In my final title, I think a lot of people, I think this will probably be one of those like year games that if done right, Star Wars Battlefront will be
Okay,
well, if done right, it could be probably one of the biggest games in a while
I'm
for
hoping.
online gaming. So,
Yes, it's going to be the first major Star Wars title since Disney took over. I think
yeah.
this is something we should talk about at some maybe another show. But yeah, Disney's acquisition of Star Wars. But there hasn't been a whole lot to show from the acquisition aside from upcoming things. But
Which should be good.
yeah, maybe.
In a sense that they're not rushing anything.
Yeah, okay, this
They're
might
taking
be a
their
great
time.
debate because I got some more. But anyway, yeah, about Star Wars Battlefront. But yeah, I agree. It's something I'm looking forward to as well. It could be something really fun. If you're gonna get it, I'm gonna get it. We should definitely
Yeah,
cooperate
man. I
in
think that,
something like that.
that'll probably be like one of those games, those
Hmm.
mindless shooter type games where you just slap a bunch of time into it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Well, I
like,
mean, I had so much fun playing Battlefront 2. That I've been ready for a new one for a while now. But hopefully this new game is something that's going to be comparable.
yeah, and that pretty much right now, I mean, I can't necessarily say that that's going to be my stance forever, but I think that's pretty much the few titles I'm excited for. I mentioned also that like if these games keep up the pace that they're leading towards, it'd be
Hmm.
pretty awesome to get a Wii, and
Yeah.
that would
Okay.
definitely be where I'm headed. So that's something I'm probably well, not probably. I'm very much so looking forward to
Cool.
here in the coming weeks, months, decades,
Okay.
generations,
Yes.
eons,
Yeah.
centuries. You
You'll be outdated by then. There'll be
yeah,
the We Us will come out.
yeah, the Wii us.
The We.
Oh God.
I'm calling it now. That's gonna be the next. That's gonna be the next Nintendo console.
Oh God.
Okay, so from what I'm looking forward to, there's a few things that have caught my eye. A lot of the stuff that you mentioned, I'm looking forward to as well. One interesting thing that could be on the Wii U console is Pokken, um, which I had mentioned that to you earlier.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's basic. It's from the creators of the Tekken franchise, which is a fighting game, obviously, and it's using the Pokemon characters
I thought that
in
that
a
concept was
fighting game.
pretty cool.
It looks like an interesting concept, and so far from the gameplay, it doesn't look too bad. So I'm interested to see where it goes. Right now, I think initial plans are just to release, if it hasn't already been released, but as a arcade game exclusively in Japan. But
Okay.
they say that there's a strong chance that it's going to be ported to a console, which obviously being Nintendo and Pokemon would be the Wii U.
Yeah.
So I mean that could be something to look forward to. Um, and something I'll be keeping my eye on as that develops. And then, just as far as other things go, possibly some PS4 titles,
Okay.
exclusives. Bloodborne, obviously, that's a big one. I know you've expressed interest in that as well.
Yeah, I thought that man, like just by the amount of footage that have managed to show, I
Hmm.
think that's going to be a pretty neat game. It's going
Yeah,
to be very neat.
Yeah, it looks really fun. By the time this podcast will be released for you guys out there listening, it will have already been released. So hopefully, crossing my fingers that it's gonna be at least decent,
Future
and
selves,
I'm
I
not
hope you
gonna
enjoy
eat
it.
my words here after a while. Just a few days from release, as we're recording. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna be picking that up. Probably stream a little bit of it too.
Right on.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of From Software's games. So looking forward to Bloodborne. Just releasing a few days here. There are some other games that look interesting. No Man's Sky is one that I'm keeping my eye on. Not sure if you've heard of that one yet.
No, I haven't.
Okay. You can kind of think of it as an independent title made exclusively for a console by a pretty small developer named Hello Games. I'm actually not too sure what previous titles they've made, but I don't think it's their list is too long.
Hello Game. Okay, I'm
But
looking them up as you're going. So,
okay, okay, maybe you could tell me in a second here. But basically, the idea of the game is it offers kind of like this limitless exploration aspect to the game. You are, I guess you could consider yourself an astronaut, and you can fly throughout a given universe. I don't know how much space you're going to have. They say it's pretty big, but you could fly from planet to planet. You could pick up resources and do missions based on the planet that you're on. And this could be in space. It could be on the ground. Kind of a little bit like Starbound, but maybe more complete. Hopefully.
okay.
But it has piqued my interest. So looking forward to that. That's supposedly going to be released this year, and it is going to be exclusive to the PS4. So yeah,
Okay.
that might be something to look forward to.
They're only known for Joe Danger.
Joe Danger, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
the only title it looks like they've actually produced,
okay.
which
So
is
a little
cool.
bit, yeah, a little bit weird that they're producing such a kind of a different style of game, but yeah, just the concept alone is enough to get my interest in it. So hopefully, this will be something to pick up later on. And another exclusive potentially for the PS4 is going to be a game called Deep Down. It's going to be produced by Capcom. This one was showcased at TGS a couple of years ago when it was first announced, and it looks similar to the Dark Souls series, and that's kind of why I'm kind of taking an interest in it. I haven't been a big fan of a lot of Capcom's titles, except maybe for Monster Hunter recently. But
Okay.
this is a brand new IP, and it looks like it could be interesting. I don't have a whole lot of details on it. Apparently, it takes place in a distant future in kind of like a post-apocalyptic New York City.
Ah,
But it does kind of have like this survival action adventure, exploration feel to it, similar to the Souls series. And the few like screenshots that I saw of it looked similar. You could definitely tell that it was at least inspired by Dark Souls. So could be something to look forward to.
that sounds neat. I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
gander into that area of the internet and see if into the reviews and trailer IGN-ish areas and see what I can
yeah, right.
muster up on that.
Yeah, I should take a look too because it's been a while since I've actually looked into it. But I don't know if they've ever proposed a release date, but it could be sometime soon. So, pretty interesting stuff as far as PS4 exclusives. And the only other thing I could think of is the game that I am looking forward to. This is the game above all games.
The
Is
game
going
of
to be the
games.
game of games.
Game
I
of
am a huge Metal Gear fan.
your name is
It is inspired by Metal Gear
like an homage
S76253.
to like
Yes, yes, but yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain will be releasing this year, September 1st, for all major consoles, and surprisingly, PC only gets it a week later. I think it's September 10th or 11th or something.
yeah.
So that case of what we were talking about for PC gamers getting it like way later, though it is later, it is not. It's only like a week or so. So congratulations to PC gamers. You don't have to wait like on Ground Zeroes like a half a year or however long it was.
Didn't Kojima leave? also.
He did. He
That
did.
timing, man.
Oh yeah.
That kind of worried me a little, but I'm like, the game's probably in cleanup stage, so we're
Well,
good.
yeah. The thing is that they're probably looking at post production right now because this is
Yeah.
pretty close to release date. I'm thinking that most of the game has already been finished as far as the directing goes. So his decision, gonna miss him because
He could go screw himself. We're good.
yeah,
Peace.
yeah. Konami, he didn't have a whole lot of titles, but Zone of the Enders, Metal Gear, Metal Gear. If they continue on, it's gonna be a different series, and I worry. But I hope just like everything isn't gonna be like Revengeance, high octane nonsense. Who knows? But yeah, this is going to be probably the last Metal Gear game with Kojima. But this is a big one. Phantom Pain is definitely
Man,
something I'm looking forward
what a
to.
way to go, man.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool in my opinion.
Hopefully it's a swan song and it's just like something that's just really really good that surpasses all previous titles. Who knows?
I mean, like throughout the series, I know there's been debate as to whether like two, a lot of people talk about the ups and downs of two
Hmm.
and four, how it was very cinematic heavy and such. But I really feel like he's never messed up. Like as much as people want to give this series flack sometimes, I feel like it's been a
And I
perfect
think,
series up to
yeah,
this point. I
it's
can't wait to
it's
see
been a
how it.
really good series as far as the games that have been directed and had the most influence from Kojima himself.
Yeah. So
Um,
I'm hyped about that.
yes, I'm excited for the Phantom Pain. And yeah, that's my pick. That's my game. That's what I'm looking forward to the most out of this year.
Maybe he'll do like the director of Smash Brothers leave and come back before the next console.
It
You know,
could be.
maybe
Yeah, you never know the future.
when
I mean, who knows? He
the
he could come
PlayStation
back at some
5
point.
comes out, he'll be back for
Yeah, when he's
Metal
on this,
Gear.
yeah, when he's on the streets, begging for change because
It's
he can't
like,
get a job anywhere else.
I have ideas.
Konami will have him. Nah, he's a good guy. Kojima seems like a
I
really
think
good
he's
guy.
set for life, man. I don't think
Yeah,
he
I mean
doesn't have to work.
yeah
He's good.
good stuff. But whatever, gonna miss him. But Metal Gear Solid 5 hopefully is gonna be a really good game. And
Dude, I
yeah.
think it's like as far as a tactical espionage title,
Hmm.
I think that PS4 may be the best platform that it could be created on.
Could be.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Because like you look at the stuff that they're thinking of like in the types of things that they're thinking of implementing and the
Hmm.
AI and the
Hmm.
way the mechanics work and the way the game is smart and like I'm like that couldn't have been done on any other console. Like this is what we've been waiting. Like we've played games, the other games, in anticipation for what could perhaps be this game. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
maybe.
kind of a side point. I remember Hans Zimmer saying like he made all of his movies and like all the musical scores for all his movies so that he could eventually get to a Dark Knight Rises because he's like that was the greatest creation up to this point he's ever had. He's like technology
And
was
for those who
at
don't
its
know,
peak.
Hans Zimmer, the a big composer that
Yeah.
largely works now with Christopher Nolan, big director, directed the Batman series.
He's
Interstellar was the last movie. But yeah, very very good composer. He's in a lot of major movies. Batman, obviously, he did the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack.
which was insane.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he's very thematic. Yeah, very good.
Black Hawk Down,
Yes, that one too.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I
which is
didn't know that.
actually cool because the soundtrack in that game was really good.
I do remember. Yeah, that was actually something I remember about that game being soundtrack was actually really sort of memorable for a Call of Duty game.
It had that Black Hawk Down vibe. Now that, but yeah, but like I was saying, he was like that was like he had worked up to that point. Like all the other movies were good and everything, but like he
Hmm.
had developed into it, he'd gotten into his comfort, and everything just worked from every aspect. I feel like this game could potentially be that. Like we've played a lot of great games, and
Hmm.
they've had their limitations that we probably don't know about. And this is the
Yeah.
first time I feel like there may have been a platform where there's no true limitations, and like
Well, that's the
it's just
yeah
game time.
yeah since this is obviously the newest, but You know, it's true. With every Metal Gear game, there are always major innovations. It's never a game where every title in the series kind of feels like the same thing. It's always something different, something completely new. And more importantly, it's expanded upon the original ideas of the preceding games. So it's something to look forward to, and I'm really excited for it. So
Metal Gear.
yeah, so I think that's about gonna do it for us.
Yeah, we've talked about some really interesting topics. We've gone through what we've enjoyed
Mm-hmm.
throughout the last little while.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo and how, yet we love them, they can work on being a little better in some aspects of what they do.
Hopefully, they got a
Uh,
little jump start.
how they've done an amazing job with coming up with new IPs as well as something kind of different that may be developed, but something different for them, which is the Amiibo,
Mm-hmm.
and how that's a really great idea. And if done right, and they continue to do better with it, like and keep outdoing themselves, it'll be probably one of the coolest things
Mm-hmm.
that have been around in a while. And the great
The great
debate,
debate.
PC versus console gaming. Although we do have our differences, we can't agree that why not both?
Yes.
Why not both?
All in all.
They're both great consoles, or they're both great
Oh,
ways
oh, that might be
of
an indicator right there.
they're both great ways of consuming media
Okay.
and enjoying your experience. And we're looking forward to some pretty awesome games. We have GTA 5,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Zelda for the Wii U, which may have its ups to it, and we're really hoping
Yeah.
looks good.
Yeah.
Battlefront, which is like our childhood
Yeah. Right.
love.
First major Star Wars title in a
I'm
while.
actually crossing my fingers for Pokken, dude. I
Hopefully it's good.
really
I mean,
hope it's good.
yeah, it's another reason to get a Wii U, another game under his belt. But yeah,
Bloodborne, I
Bloodborne.
think that's a given. It's going to be good. We just gotta
Hopefully, yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah,
No Man's Sky,
yep.
I actually looked at the trailer for it while we were talking, and it has that Journey vibe slash flower
Little
vibe,
bit, yeah. Uh-huh.
and that makes me happy because those types of games have sleeper playability. Like you can play those games a lot, and you don't think you will.
Yeah.
And
Very simple gameplay, but very fun and very fulfilling.
and it's very neutral. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing. Anyone can play it. Doesn't matter how old or how young. And I think those are the types of games that go really far.
Yes.
Not to say that your E titles don't or your M titles, but these are those neutral games that just go far.
Yes.
And deep down, I'm gonna have to do some research on that.
Yeah, not a whole lot of information, but this could be something to look forward to on the horizon. So, yep.
And Metal Gear,
Mm-hmm.
the
Oh yeah.
final chapter in Kojima's career at
Yes, allegedly,
yeah,
potentially.
allegedly these allegations
I know.
allegedly. But I think it'll be a good final chapter
Hopefully.
for his. I think it'll turn into one of those things where this is where we stop, or like the people that have followed him this far stop, and then there's going to be a slew of crappy games. But
Oh God.
we got a good run out of them. We got what like trying to think of how many games? Two, three. Well, you have five, and then you have two more, right? You have seven in the canon if you go Metal Gear 1 and 2, and then you start the Solid series.
Peace Walker.
Peace Walker, so 8 games?
Yep.
Oh, and then Ground Zeroes.
Yeah, kind of a predecessor. I would almost roll it in with Phantom Pain, given how short it was. But yeah, I guess you could count that too.
Okay, yeah, 'cause yeah, that was good, and that's why I also feel that way because of how good that was.
Mm-hmm.
That was insane, but man, it's been an interesting 2 hours, man.
Very much
Very
so.
interesting 2 hours.
And I'm relieved that it's over.
Time
Um,
flies when you're
I
in the
know.
eSpace.
Oh yeah, but the eSpace is over for now. We thank you guys for letting us into your ears and letting our voices caress your eardrums.
Doesn't matter where you are, just make sure that your Odyssey takes you somewhere through the eSpace.
Oh, very good sentiment. And with that, we're going to close the show. So, catch you next time on eSpace, and take care.